John Claude, yeah. But I mean, but the thing is too, and that's why if you can get in with a legitimate international sales agent, you can bounce actors off them. They will tell you. And some of them, like some actors over the other ones, it's like, a couple years ago, I was getting ready to finance a $4 million film, and they told me, who's X-Men, he was in Star Wars as well, the new lead actor. Not Fassbender. Fassbender's worth money, but no, he's in the new Oscar Isaacs. 2 years ago, they told me he was not worth enough to star in a $4 million film. Several sales agents told me. So it's like that thing, they don't really have any foresight, to look out and like, oh, they have this coming out. They'll eventually be worth money. They're not worried about that because typically, too, if they're going to come on board, they want to be able to pre-sell that movie. So that means they go out and start selling it just with what they have before the movie's ever made, and that's what the actors you have involved. Obviously, a big director helps, but it really comes down to actors selling in the movie.
So just to summarize, if you want next level financing, gap financing, pre-sales, all that kind of stuff, you need to have next level talent. And to have next level talent, you need to have work that that can attract them, and work of acclaim, work that they may have heard of, or agents are willing to get to them, that sort of thing. So if you're an emerging filmmaker, forget about all that stuff. I wanted to ask you guys, not just your case histories for raising money, but also how you found other ways, like unless you had more money than you needed. How did you approach the idea of using resources instead of money and managing that money and stretching it as far as you possibly could in the planning stages?
I mean, I don't I guess my one thing would be, even if you have money, I still used resources as far as finding a cheaper location and just figuring out even though it's budgeted for that, maybe you wouldn't use all the money that you budgeted for that particular thing. Being how can we even more than that rein that in? And so when you can, even finding cheaper locations or calling in favors or whatever.
I mean, for my first film, the micro-budget film, it's not having money was often what allowed people to take pity on us and give us stuff for free. We pled the broke, but heartfelt, earnest, aspiring filmmaker thing to every single person we talked to, whether it was an agent or a location manager or whatever. That we were able to play that card pretty successfully. For the second film, once we scaled up a little bit, we stopped being able to play that card so successfully, especially because we were making a movie about people on Wall Street, again, rich people. So it was there was no kind of social kind of message or kind of conscience that we could plead to in order to get people to give us favors. So in that regard, I think what we often had to do was, just make people feel excited to be a part of the movies. That's how we got people to kind of give us favors and give us locations, in odd sections of the day that they didn't want to give their location away for. If it was a restaurant or something, which is always the most challenging thing to negotiate, is finding a time of day to shoot in a restaurant and make them think it's worth their while to shut down business for 5 hours. I mean, those kind of things are really challenging to do, and what we were able to do to get them to do it was just get them excited to be a part of the movies. I mean, that will never cease to amaze me, how much people, especially once you step out of LA and start filming in places like Wisconsin, or we filmed a lot of Equity in Philadelphia, which has an active filmmaking scene, but not like LA and New York, how excited people are to just be around this thing that we take for granted once we start doing it often. That it's just an exciting thing that people want to be on board with if you sell it the right way. So, hype, I don't know, yeah.
There's incentives, if you're fiscally sponsored, you can offer things like a nonprofit rate. So you can say to somebody, I'm associated with a nonprofit, do you offer discounts? And a lot of times they'll give you 10 to 25% off the normal rates that they would charge. This is great with rental houses or if you're renting a space. I'll also say if you're getting stuff donated, actual physical items, you can offer tax receipts to people, which can be a great incentive. And then there's also resources like LA Stage Alliance, which is a theater organization. They have a warehouse here in LA of stuff. And it's basically like furniture and costumes and like weird things like that, that if you become a member of LA Stage Alliance, which I think is like $100 a year, you can go to their warehouse and